Welcome back, guys, to our Black Sabbath album review series, where we're taking probably our most controversial turn yet here. Looking at this thing right here, 1983's Born Again. And yeah, Dio has now, exited the building here after Mob Rules, as well as, he took the new drummer, Vinny Appice, with them to go on, of course, to make their own band with Vivian Campbell on guitar, just titled Dio, which, love that stuff. Hell, I've ranked, that was the first discography I reviewed and ranked on this channel was Dio's, his band, all their albums. So, love all that stuff. If you're interested in checking that out, it's on this channel. But today, of course, we're talking about this right here with this crazy looking album cover. Really gnarly looking. Of course, radio stations back in the day, because right here, this is the promo copy I got. There's the stamp, but they love to just write their radio station initials right there. I mean, luckily on here, you can't really tell all that much. It kind of blends in or whatever, but yeah, I mean, it's still worth it since it's a cool little promotional copy and it's not too noticeable. But, yeah, so what we got going on here was after Dio left, the guys were out kind of partying, like Sabbath, it's probably, I think this was after the Mob Rules tour, or maybe at some point during kind of the end of it there. And what do you know? They meet up with Mr. Ian Gillan right there, of course, from Deep Purple. And yep, Bill Ward is back on drums. But yeah, they meet up with Mr. Ian Gillan here from Deep Purple, who was actually taking a break from the road from his solo band because he was going to try to rest his voice. But funnily enough, he did the exact opposite. And on this album, and on this tour for this album, he actually blew his voice out and would never really be the same again after. Not that he doesn't sound, great, even, because I love Perfect Strangers, which came out just a year later after this album, and his voice sounds great on that, but you wouldn't get the same kind of howls and screeches that you get kind of like on here in some of the 70s Deep Purple stuff. But with all that being said, yeah, we're gonna dive right in here. And Bill Ward, he's back on drums here, and I guess he maybe heard Vinny Appice on drums from Mob Rules, because man, he's banging these drums a little bit harder than he ever has. And right where we start off here, we start off with Trashed, which exactly what it sounds like, talking about the partying and craziness, and the life pretty much of Ian Gillan, in the band at this time, because Ian Gillan was quite the party guy back in the day. But I absolutely love this song, and I'll go ahead and start, just knock the elephant in the room out. The production on this, yeah, it's muddy and just dirgy and dark and just distorted and in like every possible way, but man, it fits this thing perfectly, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't want this thing to have like the clean production that the one before Mob Rules had. I think the nasty, raw, and gritty production really fits this. So I would have had it any other way, and that's why usually this is a big turn away for a lot of people, is just the production on this. But yeah, we opened up with Trashed, and I love that song. You right off the bat, we get some of these just crazy, blood-curdling Ian Gillan, classic screams and screeches. And in my opinion, this is the best vocal work that I think Ian Gillan has ever done with any band or throughout his career, is on this album right here. So that may be a little controversial too, and I love Deep Purple and his solo stuff too, but I just think he just nailed it here. And then we go into a little interlude that's kind of dark, Stonehenge, really, really cool sounding, kind of mystical sounding. So I really dig that interlude, actually. It really fits perfectly right after Trash, and then leading directly into Disturbing the Priest. Man, you talk about just nasty, gritty, heavy riffing sounds, man. Oh, the riff for Disturbing the Priest, that main riff that just kicks off, and then you get the big drums going on from Bill Ward that, he does a really damn good job, adapting to that big drum noise that he probably heard, like I said, Vinny Appice do on Mob Rules. And then, you get the cackling from Gillen and stuff on there. And then in between all this, you get like these really dark and brooding, like deeper vocals that sound a little creepy from Gillen on this track. So Disturbing the Priest is like top notch Sabbath track for me of all time. I'm going that crazy. I love, love, love Disturbing the Priest. It's heavy as hell. It does everything right for me. And, that's one of like the best off here. Then we go with another little interlude that's got kind of the same kind of creepy feel. Not as long as Stonehenge, but it's called The Dark. Really cool little interlude that leads into a pretty lengthy track here that just has a great groove to it. Zero the Hero. Love the chorus. I mean, man, that's a chorus that gets stuck in my head as heavy, it's just that damn hooky, despite being, really, really heavy too, and the kind of the grinding that this riff just kind of gets going on you. And man, I love the kind of bells or gong kind of sound going on throughout this. The lyrics are really cool. And yet again, you get freaking Gillen nailing those blood-curdling screeches. So, absolutely love that stuff. Zero the Hero is a big highlight for me. So yes, side one, just, man, hell of a way to show, hey, I'm here in Sabbath, and this is what we got. Then we go on to side two, which pretty much does the same thing. I mean, in a good way, too. Like, just blowing me away. Digital Bitch opens up side two. Really, really cool. Kind of a faster pace. One of the shorter tracks on here. But, man, I totally dig it with the kind of crazy and brutal lyrics. Digital Bitch is a definite highlight on here. It's kind of funny, hearing some of the lyrics, Digital Bitch, she's a witch. I love that. I just love kind of a little bit of the comedy showing through, like from Ian Gillan and the guys. But another really, really cool, heavy, heavy song. Then we go to the title track, which is by far one of my favorites. Oh, man, like this, between that, Disturbing the Priest, and probably the last track on here, which we'll get to. I mean, man, the darkness of this track, it's just, I think in this track in particular, I mean, not only is this album have the best Ian Gillan vocal performance ever, in my opinion, but this track right here has it. I mean, it's just the sadness and the darkness of this track. And, like, it's one of the darkest riffs and, like, very most brooding riffs I've ever heard. And you get, like, in these verses, just, I mean, Ian Gillan, if you guys know how he does in Deep Purple, it's like that at times, like, freaking, I mean, imagine, like, the vocal work, for example, in, like, the song, the Deep Purple classic, Child in Time. Imagine that, but, like, times two, man. That's kind of what goes on here. It's like Sabbath's take on Child in Time, in a way, is the best way to kind of describe that song. And the epic guitar solo at the end, I mean, there's some screeching and stuff from Ian Gillan on here that I'm just like, wow, how in the hell did he do this? And how the hell did he do it live on the tour? I don't know. I'm not sure if they played that song live on the tour or not. They didn't do a lot of tour dates, I don't think, with for this album. But Born Again is one of my favorite Sabbath songs of all time. And that's, yet again, a pretty controversial opinion. But I've said that about a lot of Sabbath songs, like the majority of, on pretty much every album that we've reviewed up to this point here, I've said that, oh, this is probably one of my favorite Sabbath songs of all time. So that's exactly why I don't rank the songs, because that'd be way too hard. But yeah, Born Again is a freaking masterpiece of a track. Love, love, love it. It's beautiful, it's dark, and it's brooding. Then we get Hotline, which, man, it's a lot like Digital Bitch, that really fast and kind of just screeching heavy, just thrown in there. Really good pacing, really good spot in the album after the kind of slower paced Born Again. Probably my least favorite on here is Hotline, but I totally dig it. Really good, not filler at all. Then we end it with another one of those three that are like top notch for me. Keep It Warm. And man, I love, love, love the chorus on this. I mean, this is a heavy track with a cool little groovy riff to it, but it's also got kind of a pretty chorus in a way. And like, I love the ending, how Gillan just kind of lets that last note of the chorus just ring. Really cool lyrics going on. And it's just, like I said, it's just really, really heavy, but yet hooky at the same time. And Keep It Warm is just, again, up there, one of my favorite Sabbath songs. So this one's got a couple of those. And like I said, I kind of hinted at in the last video, last album review, I mean, people usually either love or hate this thing. I've not really seen people be like, it's okay. It's usually people like myself who totally love this thing, or people who are despise it. And that's cool. I totally get if you do. It's one of those things, it's like, it's such a different album in their discography, a big standout. I would go as far as saying this is probably their heaviest album in their discography, and it's a big. I attribute that mainly to the production, which can turn a lot of people off, considering how gritty and muddy it is, and also to Mr. Ian Gillan's badass screeching and squealing vocals. So yeah, I totally get that. I mean, as much as I disagree, I do get the hate that it gets, right? Like I'd always heard this thing was really bad, but whenever I just went into it, listening into it like with an open mind for the first time, and I've heard this thing like 1,000 times now, but like even the first time I heard it, I was like, man, I mean, I just dug it right off the bat. So yeah, Born Again is that's just some top-notch stuff right there, guys. I absolutely love this one. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this one, especially considering, this is probably the most controversial Sabbath album we've covered yet. Kind of up there with like the Never Say Die and Technical Ecstasy stuff. So it's pretty fun covering those ones that really have a mixed critical reception. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this one. Next time, of course, we're changing up the lineup again. We've got Glenn Hughes, also a former vocalist and bass player for Deep Purple and the band Trapeze. So we're going to shake it up a little bit, and kind of a cool story, about it was possibly going to be Tony Iommi's solo album with Seventh Star. And I think there's some other lineup changes as well. I can't remember who takes the reins on bass and drums at the top of my head, but we'll go into that next time. Most importantly, Iommi's still there, and we get a really, really cool vocalist in Glenn Hughes. So stay tuned. Check that out. Like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for next time. We'll be looking at Seventh Star. Thanks, guys.